Hi guys, to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today we're making a delicious meatless Monday recipe. I'm going to teach you how to make fasolada, but the creamy version. Also in American, it's known as creamy white bean soup. We're going to add kale to it. It's going to be hearty, healthy, and so delicious, and so easy to make because I'm taking a shortcut and I'm using some canned beans. I'm using cannellini beans today. You can use white northern beans or any white beans that melt and that are nice and creamy will do. Use whatever you've got, and let's get started making this. So we're gonna start with an onion, and I'm just gonna finely chop it. Now in Greece, fasolada is known as bean soup. It's usually made with white beans, and it's really comforting and delicious. It's more of a tomato-based soup. So today we're gonna make this more creamy, and we're not adding any tomatoes to it. But if you wanna learn how to make an updated version of fasolada, I have done a recipe a while back. Let me know, and I'll redo that video with a little bit of more of an updated version. Okay, the onions are done. Ready. Now I have 2 celery sticks over here. They're gonna add really nice flavor to the soup. I feel like a soup without celery, carrots, and onion. I don't know, is that even really a soup? These are classic flavors and they add so much comfort. So I'm just gonna finely chop around the same, you want everything to be around the same size. Right, ready. Now I have 2 carrots. I'm gonna first peel them. So the trick with cooking stress-free is just to prepare everything that you're gonna need for the recipe ahead of time. You don't wanna be scrambling for things at the last minute. Get everything out, chop it, have it ready, so that way all that needs to be done is it needs to just get added to the pot. The carrots can be a little bit bigger than everything else. Okay, so these 3 ingredients are gonna go in first, but I'm gonna also go ahead and prepare this potato. I am gonna add a potato in here. It's gonna add so much creaminess because it's gonna get pureed later on. Even though it's not going in with the onion, celery, and what's it called? Carrot. I still just wanna dice it up and have it ready to go. And this is what you're looking for, about this size pieces. If you have dried cannellini beans or any dried white beans in your pantry and you want to start with those, you're going to want to soak them overnight in plenty of cold water and then go ahead and boil them the next day. Put some aromatics in there. You throw in an onion, throw in some herbs. Don't ever put salt in there. Now, I've never tried it because everyone says don't put salt in the bean water. It makes them tough, so I just season when I'm making the soup. And anyway, just boil them until they're tender. But this is such a shortcut. If you have beans in your pantry, go ahead and use them, but just make sure you drain them out first. And there are always a few left in the bottom of the can, so I'm just gonna rinse this out with some water and get them in here. Okay, now it's time to put it all together. So I have a soup pot heating over medium heat. You can do medium high. I'm gonna put all of the veggies in that we chopped up except for the potato. The potato is not going in just yet. And to that, I'm gonna add about 1/4 cup of light olive oil. Now, I don't like to use my really good quality extra virgin cold pressed olive oil when I'm cooking with it. So I start off with a very light olive oil, the most inexpensive one that you could find, and I cook with that. And another very important thing, so that way you could have lots of flavor in your food, is to layer in the salt. So each time you add an ingredient in, just season it with a little pinch of salt. Now we're gonna cook these vegetables for about 10 minutes or until they're nice and soft and golden. All right, so the veggies are nice and soft and tender. Now we're gonna go in and add the potato that I've diced. And the beans. Gonna add some salt, some dried oregano. So I was supposed to add the garlic in before I added the potatoes. So at home, go ahead and grate some garlic cloves. About 5 or 6 will do, just to add lots of flavor. I grate my garlic cloves. I don't grate them. I puree them in the processor until they're nice and grated. And I'm going to add a teaspoon in. And then I keep them in the freezer because that just makes life so easy. I get a big bag of peeled garlic, and then I just have it ready. But 5 or 6 garlic cloves will do. If you want to put less, that's fine too. And add the garlic to the veggies once they're nice and soft. That's the best way to do it. I'm going to add a little bit more oregano. Now I'm doing dried oregano, but you can definitely throw some rosemary in here. Basil would be nice too. Not very traditional, but basil would be delicious. Dill is nice. So whatever your favorite herbs are, or favorite combination of herbs, they will all be delicious in here. And then I'm gonna add a little pinch of crushed red pepper flakes because we like it a little hot. We like our food a little bit spicy. Doesn't add too much spice, just a little kick, some warmth. I'm also gonna do a little bit of black pepper. And then you can go ahead and add either vegetable broth or water. There's a lot of flavor in here, so water will be good, but I'm gonna add some vegetable broth to this, about 6 cups. Give everything a nice mix. So now we're just gonna bring this to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, I'm gonna reduce the heat to a medium-low. I'm gonna cover the pot and let it simmer for about 15 minutes or until the potatoes are nice and tender. Then we're gonna move on to the next step. So right after 15 minutes, the potatoes should have softened. They should be nice and tender. Let me show you what they should look like. See, they're nice and soft. At this point, you wanna taste it and adjust the seasoning if it needs it. Let's see. Oh my God, already that tastes so good. If you want to leave it light and brothy, you would just add the kale at this point after I'm going to season with a little bit more salt. So you would just add the kale and just cook it for about 5-6 minutes or until it's nice and tender. But we're going for a little bit of a more creamy and hearty soup. So at this point, I'm going to take about half of it. You don't have to do half. You can do like a third. That would be good too because the beans and the potatoes are already nice and creamy. So once you puree them, it's just gonna add so much body to the soup. Let's just do that much. So careful because this is super hot. And then you're just gonna puree it until it's nice and smooth. Just like that. And now we're gonna add this back to the pot and give it a nice mix. To me, this is creamy enough. Keep in mind that as it sits, it is going to thicken even more. And we are going to cook it a little bit more right now by adding some kale. So I have a container of kale over here. This is baby kale. I like to use baby kale for this because it's already tender. It doesn't have the really thick stalks. It's just like this. These are basically going to be very easy to eat and easy to cook. So if you're using regular kale, the big stalks of the thicker kale, then go ahead and just cut out the stem because that's going to be very tough and fibrous. If you want to chop these up, you can do that, but I'm just going to put them in just like this. These come washed and everything like that, but if you feel like you want to wash them and dry them yourself, go ahead and do that. We're going to put them in the pot and we're just going to cook them for about 5 or 6 minutes or until they're nice and tender. If you're not a huge fan of kale, use spinach. You could use spinach. You can use you can do a little bit of spinach and arugula. I love the peppery bite that arugula adds. Use your favorite things. It's your kitchen, your rules. If you don't like kale, don't use it. So I'm just gonna give this a nice mix. Let this cook for a few minutes, and then we're just gonna finish it off. Okay, so during the last minute of cooking, what I did was I just finally chopped some fresh parsley. On top of the fresh parsley, I just zested a little bit of lemon. Just maybe a quarter of a lemon's zest should be enough. And then I just juiced the lemon. Now you could add as much lemon as you want in this. Let me taste it and see what it says. Delay, you say in Greek. Oh my God, this is amazing. So delicious, so many different layers of flavor, absolutely yummy. Now the only thing that's left to finish this off with is a nice healthy drizzling of olive oil. Use the best quality olive oil that you can get. Olive oil from Crete. I'm kind of biased because that's where my family comes from and that's what I use. But if you finish it off with a really good quality olive oil, you're just gonna taste the difference. It's gonna add a little bit of a pepperiness and just make it taste so much better. Now this is still much lighter than other bean and kale soups that I've seen. They're usually really thick. I like my soups a little bit more on the brothy side. That's my preference. Again, if you like it a little thicker, you can puree it a little bit more. You could also add an extra potato to it. That's gonna make it give it a little bit more body and make it heartier. Or you can, blend it more, add another can of beans. It's totally up to you. But for me, this is perfect. This is the way I like it. Now, of course, it wouldn't be my meal if I didn't go ahead and add a little bit of feta to it. It doesn't need it because the lemon really makes it nice and fresh, but we're gonna add a little bit of feta. You guys crack me up with the feta comments, by the way, especially when I think Will said that on my plaque, on my 100,000 subscribers plaque, it would look better with a little bit of feta. I do agree. It probably would. Anyway, let me clean my hands. It's time to take a bite. Get a little bit of everything in there. Trying not to burn myself. Now, if you don't want to put the olive oil in the pot, You can serve it at the table and everybody can just drizzle as much olive oil as they want on in their bowl. Serve this with some nice toasted, good quality bread and you'll have a meal that will satisfy everyone at the table. So delicious. That kale tastes amazing in there. You get a little bit of nuttiness from the cannellini beans. It's perfectly creamy, perfectly comforting, and really delicious. I think you guys are gonna love this one. If you want to print the recipe out, head on over to dimitrasdishes.com and you can print it easily. If you want to just get the ingredients and the amounts, it's underneath this video in the description box. Let me know what you guys think and what you want to learn how to make next. If you want to learn more delicious, comforting soups, click on this video over here and I'll see you right over there. Yes, sis?